discrimination. I think for all of us, when people say no to us, it's not so much we are offended by the word no. We are more disappointed that this person doesn't even try to help. You go to any service counter, you call anyone and you say, can I? Doesn't say, so no, so sorry, ma'am. Our cutoff is on the 5th. This is the 6th, so you have to pay 1 day extra fee. Yeah, so you're like, but can you please request? Oh, so sorry. You know, if you want to request, please send in your email to our portal. Yeah, but I'm now talking to a human. Can you help me? Oh, no, so sorry. I'm not authorized to do it. And that's where you find it very frustrating. Now, what if this person is your spouse? What if this person is one of your siblings? What if this person is your father or your mother or your daughter or your family members or your close friends? I think you feel it more. So how do we treat other people is that the things that we can't do for sure because it's against the law or it is totally dangerous, then we can't do. Yeah, but there are most of the time is that we prefer not to do because we have our certain fear and our certain concern. I think let's learn to differentiate between what we can do versus what we don't want to do. And if you do not like to appear as somebody who always don't like to help, then you need to try your best to accommodate what the person is requesting. At least give it a try. Okay, so this first scenario is all about how we are too quick sometimes. Amygdala hijack in a mild version, too quick to say no because we see the request as a threat. We see the request as, oh no, it's going to cause me a lot of trouble in the future. Better say no. Yeah, so that indirectly dilutes our EQ. Okay, so that's scenario number 1. Let's now look at scenario number 2. Okay, scenario number 2, I will need 1 man and 1 lady. Okay. Do we have a volunteer, 1 man and 1 lady in this group to be Stephen and Mary?
My name is Daniel. I'll be Stephen.
Okay, Daniel, you are Stephen. And can I have Mary? We need a Mary. Come on, one of the ladies. One of the ladies, please become Mary. We are waiting for you, Mary.
Maybe I can be Mary.
Okay, let's try that. Right, so let's see Mary and Stephen. Okay, Stephen first.
Mary, I'm presenting the Petronas RT3 collaboration plan to the CEO.
I see. What do you need me to prepare?
Everything. Summary of all the negotiations since the inception of RT3, the changes to the committee members before and after September, comparison of RT2 proposal versus RT3, the original draft contract from AP officers, estimated kickoff date, and the new team structure. And it is urgent.
When do you need them ready? Okay, I got it.
So, all done?
Soon, just a few more charts.
It's urgent.
Doing as much as fast as I could.
I got to run for the next few Zoom meetings back to back.
I I will hand the presentation materials to you first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay, so I'll play Susan for a while. Susan is the secretary. Okay.
Susan, I need to check when Stephen is free so I can walk him through some of the sequence of presentations.
Stephen, he has to attend a conference today and tomorrow.
What? I thought he needed these materials for a presentation to the CEO on Petronas RT3 projects.
Yes, that's right, but the presentation is next week, and until Petronas has confirmed the legal entity under which the project should take off, there is nothing much to present.
So all this?
Well, I guess Stephen probably just wants a compilation of what has taken place, just in case, in case the CEO wants a convenient reference. All right. So thanks, Daniel and Gretchen for volunteering. So what did you all learn from here? Is this a familiar scene to some of us where bosses just throw things to us, urgent, 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 and we rush and rush, skip lunch, skip meals, and so on, and ended up, it's not that urgent after all. So how many of us have been a victim of such a circumstances before? So let's ponder. What can we learn from this situation when someone throws to us a lot of urgent requests? Should we respond to them or should we ignore? And if we respond to them, everything is urgent and we are really rushing. So one of the things I learned from doing personality profiling is that I realized this is all personality style as well. And what we want to learn here is that putting ourselves in the shoe of the bosses. Okay, why would bosses scare people using this technique? It's urgent, it's urgent. Yeah, but actually it's not that urgent. It's because the bosses too have bad experience before. There will be staff who told them, okay, I will do it. And when it comes the deadline, the staff said, oh, actually, yeah, I forgot. Oh, and 101 excuses. So bosses also learn from bad experiences and they start to form a habit to basically push people to do things fast. But actually what the bosses want is assurance. Bosses just want to be assured that you will not forget to do, you will actually put this as a priority. But the staff who is receiving this request, unfortunately, take it too literally. If you say it's urgent, and you stay at me, oh, okay, dialogue this time, I must, no matter what, do it for you, okay? Without negotiating timeline, without even telling the boss what is happening now, that you are actually overloaded and so on, because according to your mind, you panic. You see the fierce look, you see that tone, and you rush for it without rationalizing whether you can or not negotiate on timeline. A lot of times, I myself, when I was working, I experienced this before, and even with my client, it's very urgent. And sometimes I said, look here, right now I am quite overloaded with something else. When do you really need it? Is it okay if tomorrow morning I come to the office earlier, or I log in earlier at 7 a.m. and I try to get it done for you by 9 a.m.? Is that okay? And most of the time, what bosses want to hear is, okay, at least you have an alternative way of responding. And at the most, they will say, you better make sure you wake up early and get it done by 9, yeah? Yeah, at least you buy time for the evening and not rush yourself through the whole day, skipping meals, skipping lunch, skipping dinner, and sleep at 2 a.m. just to finish something and pass it to them the next morning. And they say, oh, thank you. Oh, actually, I will only be needing this on Friday. And you'll be like, what? And that feeling is bad. And this is where your brain starts to process this as negative. You start to feel yourself as being played, being fooled, being manipulated, being used, being disrespected. Your cortisol level starts to build up. This is why you become a lot more stressful while working with these kind of people. So one way to help yourself to withstand this sort of unrealistic, urgent request or demand is learn to talk to these people and kind of like negotiate the time. Yeah, most of the time, don't take people's words literally. It is more personality driven. And I just want to take this quick opportunity to share with you. I won't do this exercise, it may take a bit long. So I will just share with you some basic personality. I think Jeremy earlier mentioned about DISC. So DISC is a simple personality that gauge our behavioral style. So it measures whether we see a situation as hostile or friendly. There are certain personality that tend to see the environment as hostile means unfavorable and friendly means as nice and easy. And their reaction can either be active or passive. So if you work with people who tend to see things as hostile and they are active by nature, these are the dominant character. We call them the high Ds. Okay. In real life, of course, it is not so straightforward. High D means high D, but for the simplicity of our understanding right now, I'm just dividing personality into 4 different types. So the dominant people will tend to be pushy. They need things to be fast. And because they can't control you, I really can't make you work faster. The only way I can make you work faster is to scare you. You better do it, otherwise, yeah, I have to use this tone to push you so that you will give me priority. Sometimes it works. People with high dominance tend to get things done faster and they tend to get what they want because people also, on the other hand, respond better to dominant people. You may not like them, but you are afraid of them, you do it for them. So if you do not want your boss to exert a lot of dominance character to you, I think the high D people is okay the moment you assure them you will take the action. If you can't do it now, you quickly tell them, I will do it first thing tomorrow morning or even tomorrow evening. But I will show you what I have done by 12 p.m. I think high dominance people just want to hear that. Unfortunately, unfortunately, I will just skip the rest and I will highlight to you the third character. Some of us belong to the third character personality type. We are the friendly people and we are the passive type. If boss asks me to be urgent, oh dear, what can I do? Passive, friendly. I will try my best, law. Yeah. And he says, very, very urgent. Okay, okay. I'll try my very, very best, law. But at the same time, the other bosses, the other customers, my colleagues have already asked me to do something and oh, oh, I don't know. I don't know how to. Yeah. And so when somebody comes to you and said that maybe you should tell him no, he wouldn't listen, he's very fierce, they won't understand. So before anything else, you have already told yourself passively that now nothing is going to work. I will just have to do it. Yeah. And this is where you feel the stress. And yet another high I person, a high influence personality, active and friendly, this is a person who will know how to play along very well. They will go to the high D boss and say, Ayo, you want it so urgent? Okay, lor. Then I have to skip some lunch, dinner, and maybe supper to do it for you. Hey, like this, tomorrow after breakfast, I give it to you, can or not? And for all you know, the high D boss say, okay, so long as don't pass 12 o'clock, okay? And then you start to realize, hey, that's not fair. When you push me for urgent thing, I did it all for you. But the other high I colleague, just because he's a lot more outspoken, friendly, he he can buy more time. That's not fair. Now, I just want to have advice to those of us who are more of the high steadiness personality. There is nothing unfair about this. It is all how we receive the information and how our amygdala hijack happened. The word urgent just make us panic and we stop thinking about rationale. We stop finding solutions to even negotiate timeline. So sometimes if we go back to the high D bosses and tell them why we can't deliver now, provide alternatives, most of the time they are okay. All right. So lesson from scenario number 2 is when you face urgent thing, learn to clarify the intent and negotiate timeline. You just have to know why is it urgent. Urgent because he has to catch a flight, or urgent because it's just a perceived urgency. Learn to clarify intent. Use your frontal lobe, calm down, approach the person in a nice manner and understand intent and try to negotiate a bit of a timeline. You will be surprised. You may increase your effectiveness in this area. Okay, so much for situation number 2. Any questions and comments up to now? Is everyone okay?
We have a question from Sarah.
Okay.
They're asking, what about the high D's perceived non-compliance people?
The high D perceiving those are non-compliance people. Yes, I think for the the fourth character is the compliance. Okay, these are the people who are very meticulous. People like Natasha is a high compliance person. No, sorry, not Natasha. Julia, she would say that no, 20th is 20th cut off. You can't change. Okay, the high D really dislike high C people, and the high D will again. This is another level of conflict. Okay, when the high C people say cannot and all these things, the high D will come and confront them, almost wanting to slap them. It's like, you are making my life difficult. You are not being very helpful. But sometimes the high D people likes to change things, and they like to push for things to their own benefit. And the high C people are the ones who will try to stop the D from doing that. And that is why EQ is in question here. Both are then start to show different behaviors that dislike each other. But if a high D person wants to get the high C person to change, for instance, the high D needs to understand what is the fear of the compliance people. So if the high D starts to realize why the C people are fearful, just assure them that if anything happens, I will bear responsibility. If something were to happen, let me take extra 2 steps to make sure that that risk is being mitigated. Yeah, but on the other hand, the high, if he is dealing with the low compliance people, high D would again sometimes be very fierce. They will actually come to the low C, low compliance people and tell them to comply. And he also wants it his way. And this is another potential problem where the low compliance personality just do not like details. The moment you get them to be very detail oriented, they get frustrated. Their cortisol will build up over time. Okay, so one of the ways the dominance person can help the non-compliance people is actually to come up with templates, to come up with easy to fill form, simplify processes, simplify the step, so that the non-compliance people will at least find it easier to follow the simplified rules and regulations. Yeah. So we obviously can talk a lot more about personality type, but that would be my brief answer to that. Other questions? Okay, now let's move on to scenario number 3. Okay, this is about delegation, and I need 2 gentlemen again. I need 2 gentlemen to role play Alex as well as Adam. Ladies can participate too. You can be Alex or Adam for a few minutes, doesn't matter. Come on, guys, be spotting. We have almost 60 people here.
Okay, I'll be Alex.
Okay, that's good.
I'm
Thank
Aries.
you.
Yeah, I'm Aries here.
Okay, Aries, you be Alex. One person be Adam.
Let me be Adam. My name is
You be
Shami.
Adam. Sorry, what's your
Yes.
name?
Shami.
Okay,
Shami.
great. All right, Shaming. All right, so Alex and Adam, this is about a work delegation. Okay, so let's start with Alex.
Adams, I need a quick update from you on two matters. How many from your business divisions are going for the Transformational Leadership Summit? I need to register them earlier. And also, who the various speakers are. Second, Kamal plans to take leave next week. And I wonder if you could attend the meeting with Pantai Hospital on his behalf since you were supporting the account previously.
I'm not sure exactly how many from my team are qualified as I am still waiting for Winnie. Don't worry lah, we still have 2 more months before the summit.
Oh, the summit is 2 more months, but we need to finalize now. There is a lot of content work to be done, my friends.
I have already notified Winnie to pass me the list of the qualified people and speakers.
Winnie, for what? The selection criteria for the Transformation Leadership Summit are clearly stated. You should have their LEI and 360 scores. What do you mean you do not know how many are qualified?
But I do not have the latest LEI, so still waiting for Winnie to give me the updated list.
What about program agenda? Any break times? How many slides to prepare? Transitionally, announcements, rehearsal, background music, and others.
Ayo, do we have to fix background music now?
You may not have the final name list and LEI score, but you can do an early estimate or scenario planning. And please start asking everybody for breakout groups preference. This is a serious matter. We do not want any incident due to your slacking.
Chill, okay? Do not have to make it sound so serious. Once the name list is finalized based on the actual LAI and 360 scores, everything can be done within a matter of days. We did the same last year too. Some more now virtual, even easier ma.
And what about the Pantai Hospital meeting? Are you handling it?
Actually, what is the Pantai meeting about? Why do I need to go? For the LAI, I will check with Winnie again. I think she is on leave this week. Today, I have to attend the EQ talk by Essen. I tried to get the list for you when Winnie is back. We still have time, no worry.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Aries. Thank you, Shami, for playing Alex and Adam. So, what do you guys see now when two colleagues are working here? What do you see? Personality as well. You know, it's part of DISC as well. And but other than that, what kind of emotion is involved here between Alex and Adam? Have you all experienced what Alex is going through working with people like Adam? And for those of us who are more Adam, have you experienced how is it like working with people like Alex? Feel free to unmute and speak if you do have an opinion or views to share about Alex and Adam. Now,
Adam
yeah.
very laid back lah, and very depend and rely on this Winnie lah.
Winnie is
So
on leave.
Alex, yeah. So Alex will be like, tidak tahan lah. If I'm Alex, I cannot stand people like that lah.
Yeah, but to Adam is still got 2 more months. Ayo, some more. Now want to I like the way Shami say, you know, it's like someone now have to fix what background music. Ayo, a bit too rushed, right? A bit too anxious, isn't it? Yeah, I think this is where there's something that I want to introduce to you right now about our personality type as well. And this is beyond just DISC. I want to show you one of the other big five personality is neuroticism. Okay, neuroticism here simply means this: those who are having high neuroticism is your vulnerability to anxiety. Are you an easily anxious person? Then you are a high scorer. If you are not, then you are a low scorer. So if I can represent very simple picture like this, a low scorer is like a hot thermal flash. Okay, you are very calm, very adjusted, very resilient, and even the sky fall down too, you tend to be very composed. Yeah, some of us are like the whistle cattle, wee, very noisy, very vulnerable, very touchy, very sensitive, and very anxious. So I want to give you an example. How many of us have experienced maybe at the end of the day or at night when you're driving home, either with your friends or with your family especially, and the petrol indicator comes on, means that you are running out of petrol. And one of the spouse or the partner will say, hey, quick, 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 better turn to that side and pump petrol first. And one of you all will say, ah, yeah, it's okay. We're not going anywhere. Tomorrow we can still pump, isn't it? Then when it comes to tomorrow morning, so what happened, the alarm is not working, wake up a bit late and you have some urgency and then something spill on the floor, you have to clean it and you realize you're rushing, and just as you get into the car, you're like, oh, I forgot to buy petrol. Yeah? And that's where the other spouse will say, see, I told you, you see. Yeah, so this is an example of high neuroticism. People who are high in neuroticism tends to be very, the Chinese would say very kanjiong, wants to do things fast. You cannot sleep well without thinking about it. The moment you know something is not done, you keep thinking, it's not done, it's not done, it's not done. So that is how to say, very kanjiong type. Yeah, but the low scorer will always be like, why so anxious leh? It's tomorrow, right? So yeah, if it is done, it is done. If it is not done, it's not done already. Worry now also no use. It's 10 o'clock already. I better start going to sleep. Yeah. So this is the low scorer or low neuroticism people versus the high neuroticism people. Okay. So what we are trying to learn here is that those of us who are low neuroticism, we must realize that our behavior can sometimes instigate the high scorer as well, because we are too calm. We are really not having any sense of urgency. It's always tomorrow is fine. Nobody will die. That kind of feeling. I think we do need to actually assert ourselves a bit so that we can have a bit more sense of urgency. We don't have to be anxious, but you have to speed up sometimes. If it can be done now, honestly, why must you purposely wait until tomorrow? Why do you procrastinate? Yeah. On the other hand, those of us who are high scorer in neuroticism, I think if I roughly ask for a show of hand, how many of you can honestly feel that you are more of the high neuroticism type? Anyone? It's actually easy to spot. You would usually know you are more of the high or the low side, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So if you're on the high side, honestly, nothing wrong with that. The good is you are able to get things done faster, and usually high neuroticism people get more things done within the same time. But the downside is you are causing yourself a lot of stress. And frankly speaking, if you can wait for a little while, honestly, nobody died. And therefore you need to learn to also condition yourself like, okay, true, I really can't, I really can't stand, but let's not make things any worse. It is true, I didn't buy the petrol and it's already now 12 midnight and I forgot to buy the petrol. So even if I jump up and down now, it really won't help anything, but it will only cause anxiety in the family, and it will only cause people to be upset. So I guess so long as you're more aware, exercise your frontal lobe and tell yourself, is there really a need for me to be so anxious about it? And after a few times, I think it does help us to control our anxiety. And this is where we learn from this scenario number 3. How can we not lose our cool working with people who are too cool? Okay, so gain self-control in validating our obsessions for control and exactness. Yeah. So high neuroticism people, sometimes we send a text to people. Nowadays, I will send a text to people. And let's say if I send something to Shami and he didn't reply, wow, I cannot tahan. Then my amygdala hijack happens, and I start to see that as ini budak really teruk. I know what he's trying to do. I know he's avoiding me, and so we are going to send a more nasty thing. But because he's not responding to me, you know what? I'm going to send it to the group chat and make him feel bad about it. Yes, yeah. And so this is the moment where we do something out of our anxiety, and we do appear a little bit childish, a little bit cynical, and sometimes really not a very appropriate behavior or choice of words that we use. Okay. So once you know you're more of a high neuroticism, be watchful for your tendency. You are definitely more prone and more vulnerable to anxiety. Okay. Now the next one is very interesting. Scenario 4. And I don't need you to role play this time, but I want you to go through this. And this is actually modified from a real case that even I personally experienced before between Joseph and a person like Jadish. So Joseph sent a text to Jadish. I need the Q4 productivity ratio for his region number 7. What is the status to date? Obviously, Jadish read the message. No response. Hi, is there anything you need from me to generate the Q4 productivity ratio? Guess what? He read the text. And that was yesterday. So today, I emailed and called you, but there was no response. I need to estimate performance rewards for the financial year. Can you give me an indication of revenue over direct cost ratio for region 7? The same thing. He read, no response. So now Joseph is getting a little bit impatient. So he come to talk to Jadish directly, whether a call or meet him in person. I've been asking you for the Q4 productivity ratio for region 7. May I know what is keeping you? And Jadish replied, we have not closed the books. What ratio can I give you? Yeah, I know, but at least a WIP report or interim status from you. And Jadi said, data is still coming in. I will let you know when I have the full data. By now, you would have at least 80% of data. Just give me an estimate based on that. It's just WIP, as in work in progress. It's not finalized, but up to now, based on 80%. But Jadish replied, brother, in accounting, there is either balance or not balance. There's no such thing as WIP. I just can't give you halfway. Not done means not done. You just have to wait until I finish. That's basically what Jadish is saying. Okay, and he say also find it funny, like how come this Joseph doesn't even understand how accounting works? Okay, and this really makes Joseph very speechless and definitely very frustrated. So if Joseph is a high neuroticism person, they are going to end up with some exchange of nasty words in this case. So I want to highlight that some of us, unknowingly, we are like Jadish. This is what we call mental blocks, okay? We like to work with perfectionism. We like to work with completeness. Some of us, when we haven't finished something, we just don't like to update people. How many of us are like that? When your boss asks you to do something, when your friends, your family ask you to do something, you are in the process of doing it. And somebody said, so how has it been? Have you done it? And you're like, because I have not finished it, and it's not due date yet, I am not obligated to really tell you. And it really annoys Jadish that halfway through somebody asked him, so how is it already? Can you give me a rough idea, rough estimate? And some of us who are like Jadish will get very pissed off, because to us is, if I can give you something more concrete by the end of this week, why do you want to settle for something that is interim, that is inaccurate? Why you want to be so pushy one? And if Jadish is outspoken, he will speak up. But if Jadish is like what I said just now, the high steadiness personality, what would Jadish do? He will just keep quiet. Yeah, read messages, just won't reply. But in the mind, he is thinking, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I am doing it. What's the big deal? I am doing it, just not finished yet. Yeah. So I think if we are people like Jadish, this is where we lose EQ. And our colleagues are going to look at us as, you are not responding. And by not responding, you increases the anxiety of others. Indirectly, you are welcoming confrontation. So tomorrow, Joseph is going to look at you, talk to you in a more firm tone, and that is going to instigate you further, and the vicious cycles continue. So I would really recommend for people like Jadish, if we have a tendency to want to be perfect, to want to be complete, okay, we need to learn to give interim status so that people will feel more assured, and therefore it calm people down. Yeah. So I think somebody mentioned in the chat that yes, Jadish has to respond to every inquiry as a matter of courtesy. Exactly. You may not have finished it, but at least you respond like, Joseph, I know you're in a hurry. I honestly cannot give you the data yet. I need more time. Give me another hour. Give me another 2 hours to do it. And if really Joseph really high neuroticism, he really wants something, can you please do him a favor out of courtesy? Use your EQ to manage Joseph to say, okay, nothing concrete, but based on 80% data, the revenue over direct ratio is only about 2.8 versus our target of 2.9. Yeah, but this is 80%. So after I receive the 20% by Monday, the ratio may change. But up to now, if you want to have an idea, it's only about 2.8. Very close to our target lah, very close, but 2.8 versus 2.9. Yeah, that will ease Joseph a lot. Like, phew, okay, so roughly I kind of know what's going on. Then on Monday, you come back to Joseph. Oh, Joseph, very surprisingly, the 20% data that came in last minute actually shifted the whole thing. Now the ratio is actually overall, by the time I finalize everything, it's actually 2.6. It's not even 2.8. So your region 7 is below performance target. I think Joseph will be panicked then, but not because of you. He's panicked because of his performance, nothing to do with you. And therefore, that anxiety you have actually cleverly and calmly shifted from an interpersonal conflict to what is objective. Yeah. So try not to instigate people by being quiet, by being sitting in your room by yourself, by sitting in your cubicle. And right now with Zoom and virtual work from home is worse. You just don't respond. Turn off video, turn off mic, and everything. You just do it on your own, and you leave your colleague wondering what on earth is going on. So learn to at least respond. That, okay, I received your message. I will look into it at 5 o'clock. All right. So what we learn here is on the way. People always say on the way, WIP. I think the tendency for us is the same, right? Sometimes when we were driving at that time, we haven't even come out from our house and someone said, where are you? On the way, on the way. Actually, we are still showering. Yeah. So gain empathy to manage expectation, or at least ease the anxiety of others. If you know your colleagues are anxious, if you know your spouse is anxious, if you know your children or your parents are anxious, why can't you do them a favor by at least responding midway to ease their anxiety? And if they are less anxious, you get less confrontation as well. So EQ is not about who is right or who is wrong. EQ is about how you respond to that situation. Okay, last scenario, okay. The fifth way how people lose their EQ is self-labeling. I don't need a role play too, but let's look at Iman, okay. When someone tells him this feedback, take a look. After reviewing both your proposals, we think Andy's idea is more suitable. We have selected his proposal. Iman straight away responds, what is wrong with my proposal? Which part did you not agree? I put in so much effort and dedicated my loyalty to this company. Are you doubting my commitment? Can someone tell me what's happening to Iman here?
I think Iman feels not appreciated.
Yeah. He feels not appreciated, and he start to justify it by talking about his effort and loyalty and commitment. Yeah, that's one part of it. He feels he is not appreciated. But which part of that feedback should suggest that people do not appreciate Iman? Actually, nothing. None of the feedback indicates that they don't appreciate Iman. None of the feedback indicates that they don't think Iman has put in effort, that we select Andy's proposal because he's hardworking and you are lazy. No one said that. It is a self-labeling by Iman himself. Yeah, and if you can see that the moment someone chooses another person's idea, do you notice what Iman immediately highlight in his first statement? What is wrong with my proposal? So in Iman's mind, the amygdala hijack is straight away, if you don't choose my proposal, something is wrong, is it? So sometimes two proposals are very good, but unfortunately, we can only implement one of the ideas unless they can both be merged, okay? But if we can only do one, when we choose A, it doesn't mean B is automatically becoming lousy or wrong. Yeah, it just means that both are good, but if we really have to choose one, A is preferred by us. That's all. So I think self-labeling is when we give the meaning to a situation by ourselves, and that labeling may not even be correct. Yes. I think Leng Fong is correct. Iman needs to actually ask for question, but you see, he will not ask for question anymore because he is already, is what we say, besong, tak sedap hati already, and he feel offended already. And the next thing he'll be like, forget it. Then somebody at the side talk to Iman. Iman, maybe you should ask them why. No point. This management is like this. I tell you. Then his stories goes. Then his amygdala hijack takes over. He starts to spread very negative sentiments to his colleagues, and he gets aggressive, maybe depending on his personality. And if he is a high neuroticism person, he cannot sleep tonight, and he starts thinking about it. And his cortisol level is going to increase over the next few days, and he's going to be stressed out. Yeah. So this is how small things like this affect our emotion. And if you look at the next example, okay, another person feedback to him, boss, this is from the employee. We find that you are very pushy and you never try to understand the workload that we have to bear. This is from the staff. I didn't mean to be pushy. I'm only trying to meet the deadlines, achieve our KPIs, and make all of you look good before performance review. It is not true that I never understand. I did ask if you guys needed additional resources. It is not fair to say that I never cared. What about you? Have you ever tried to understand my workload and stress from the top management, the stakeholders, the regulators? So how is the same Iman responding now? He picked on some words, right? Never. Yeah, then he amplified it. Never. How can you say that? That's that's not right. That's not right. Wow, you all can blame me for not understanding you. Have you all understood me? Did you even try to care for me? So you see, it's getting into a defensive mode. Although maybe Iman never really intend to be defensive. It's just that he interprets this feedback as an attack. So unfortunately, this happens not just at the workplace. Okay, this happens even at home. When you have an open conversations with your spouse, with your family members, or with your relatives, with your good friends, even with your neighbor, sometimes it happens. Although you said, okay, let's sit down and have an open conversation, and someone just give you a statement like this, you are very pushy and you never try to understand the workload or the stress that you cause us. Wow, you feel very uneasy about it and you pick on that word and start to feel very hurtful. So I think what we need to learn here is that don't take those words literally, but learn to just understand them as an expression of how they feel. How do you think the staff are feeling when they tell him this? Let's not say they are right or wrong. There's no need to label them as right or wrong. When they say this, whether they use the word never, maybe they even highlight the word you never, never, ever, or they repeat a few times, whatever. So when they say it this way, what do you think they are feeling? When one of your family members speak back to you, yeah, maybe your children go and tell you, Papa or Mama, you never love me. Wow, that's hurtful. Wow, and then we try to just say, who told you we never love you? When you were 3 years old, when you were 4 years old, when then, wow. And because we pick on that word, never love. What? How do you mean we never love them? How can they say that? Yeah, but can we just not label them? Can we just not judge them? Can we just not feel hurt about it first and try to understand? For a child to say that you never love me, what are they feeling? Maybe they are hurt. Maybe they are disappointed. And it doesn't matter whether their disappointment is based on valid reason or not yet. I think the first part that we need to manage our EQ is, okay, if I meant to have an open conversation, whatever you say only represent how angry and how sad or how confused you are. I don't need to take your words literally as true and start to debate over it. Okay, and this is where I try to be funny. If somebody comes back to Iman and say, Iman, you know what? You are just a cow. Okay, I think if somebody tell us like this, you are just a cow, okay, let us not argue. What do you mean I'm a cow? I'm not a cow, I'm a human being. And no. I think we should describe it as the person is angry enough to call me a cow. Let's not label it. I think, wow, he humiliates me. I lost my dignity. How could, and then bring in racist problem, bring in gender problem, bring in bias problem, bring in all sorts of problem. But actually, it really doesn't mean that if someone calls you a cow or any other name, you can just describe it. Use your frontal lobes and describe it as the person is so angry that he used such a terrible words when he called me. Okay. Yeah, you can think of cow as a hardworking animal. Sound positive too. The coming Chinese New Year is a year of cow. Yeah, so next time remember what we learned here in scenario number 5 is that the moment you serve labor, a lot of things can actually sound far more negative than necessary. Why do you treat me like this? It's not fair. It's not this, it's not that. It's all in your mind. This is what your thalamus is telling your amygdala, and that amygdala takes over. So learn to acknowledge an emotion without making a judgment. Okay, so this is scenario number 5. So what we have learned today is we have learned 5 common ways where we sometimes lose our cool, we lose our EQ without us realizing. Scenario 1, we talk about we are so easy to say no, we can't, but actually we are just not willing to help. So it's time to learn how what cannot be done and what we are not willing to do. Let us be more honest and upfront to own up what we don't want to do. So I have clients who actually ask me this, Jonah, can give me discount? You know, let's say, to be very frank, they ask for certain thing. Actually, I can, if I give that discount, I still make a profit, but I would tell them, no, I don't want to, because I am not willing to travel all the way to conduct the workshop for such a fee. I guess my experience and my credibility warrants the fee that I've quoted you. And most of the client, when they listen to this very professional way of explaining, they'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, we understand now. We are just trying our luck lah to see if we can get a bit of discount. Instead of no, and I am shy to tell them why, I will have to like, that's just because because of the policy, and I'm beginning to make myself sound a lot more silly by trying to justify something like that. And second situation is when people push you for urgent, you really need to understand their personality and whether this urgent is really urgent or not, understand their intent and find alternative ways to assure them that you are going to pay attention to it so that they will not need to push you so much. And for people who are too relaxed, yes, we cannot stand them sometimes. But more importantly is to ask yourself, do you really need to be so hypersensitive, so anxious, and so high in neuroticism? Cool down, because no matter how anxious you are, you know what happened to that guy? He couldn't be bothered anyway. The person who suffer is yourself. Situation 4 is if you are the type who wants completeness of information, you dare not give people an interim because you're so worried. What if the information at the end turn out to be different? No. Let's not fear that for now. Let us just be courteous to give people a an interim update to tell people, hey, it's on the way. I am now 80%. I'll just give you a rough idea of how it looks like. But let me caution you, it may change by tomorrow when the new data comes in. And what we have just learned, the last one, is that we try to have an open conversation without appearing interrogative, without appearing judgmental. Whatever people say during angry times, during sad times, don't take it literally. Don't find a dictionary to define those words, you know, and don't start to label yourself as the person humiliates me, look down on me, despise me. No. The person who despises is yourself. Yeah? You are the one who label yourself as more than what the person is saying. Just understand the emotion and acknowledge that, wow, the person is so hurt. Wow, my daughter, my son is so hurt to a point that he even described us as never for once care for him. He must be so hurt to come out with those words. That's all. Take that as just a sharing for that moment and find solution thereafter. Okay? So in closing, I just want to summarize all the 5 scenarios using our emotional intelligence model. And this model is also suggested by the emotional intelligence guru, Daniel Goleman, right? So Daniel Goleman says that emotional intelligence, per his survey and research, consists of 4 elements: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. So how this 4 works is this. All right. Self-awareness, he said emotional intelligence actually has 2 big components: recognition and regulation. Recognition means acknowledge, right? I said just now, acknowledge. Regulation means control, your frontal lobe, right? Frontal lobe. So if you recognize yourself, it's called self-awareness. If you recognize others, it's called social awareness. So the key thing, according to Daniel Goleman on emotional intelligence, is self-awareness. Everything starts with self-awareness. Remember the chart I showed you at the beginning on our brand, the frontal lobe, the self-awareness must be there. Self-awareness involves 2 things. 1, do you spend time reflecting on yourself? And secondly, is your reflection correct? Some people, they don't like to spend time reflecting on self. So they hate questions like, how are you today? Looking back, what are your weaknesses? What have you done well and not well? To them is, don't ask me this kind of question. It's already over. Let bygones be bygones. Don't talk about the past already. Don't talk. Yeah, they deny it because it stresses them out to think about themselves. Yeah. So first thing is, do we spend time reflecting on ourselves to ask, why am I like that? So that day when Daniel asked me this question, I get offended. Why was I offended? Oh, what happened? How did I react? What did I do? Yeah, self-awareness. And secondly is sometimes self-awareness is one thing, but is our self-awareness accurate? So can you imagine? I can have self-awareness. I reflect, and at the end of my reflection, I concluded that I am the most intelligent and the most correct person. Yes, I am. Yeah. and all my family members and my colleague will be like, no, that's not true. And then that becomes a delusion. Okay. So there are two things. Do you spend time reflecting on yourself? And secondly, is your reflection about yourself correct? And it can be a negative thing. It can be a positive thing too. Sometimes you can be what do you call that? Punishing yourself. You tell yourself, I'm terrible. I'm so horrible. I'm so lousy. Yeah. And that kind of reflection may not be accurate too. So in short, okay, self-awareness leads you to self-management. Just a very quick thing. Some people, you have good self-awareness, but very poor self-management. It simply means, I know I'm very lazy type. Yeah, I know I cannot wake up early one. Yeah, I'm the type, very difficult to wake up very early. So self-management, what are you going to do about it? Don't know. Yeah. So this will be the kind of combination where I have awareness, but I do not have self-management. Discipline becomes very poor. And I have also seen the reverse. I have high self-management, but low self-awareness. Can you start to imagine how this happens? Is it possible for someone to have high self-management, very self-disciplined, wake up on time, they follow the schedule, they know how to behave well, they know what to say, what not to say, but actually they have no self-awareness? Is that possible? Try to think. And in what way would it manifest? Okay, it will manifest as somebody who is very controlled, very high self-management. Maybe due to how should I say, past upbringing, maybe due to certain religious belief, due to certain culture norms, family conditioning. Yeah, you are very a controlled person, but you have no self-awareness as to why you are doing it. Yeah. So if I have come across people, children who are grown up to really, they have to greet everybody. You know, this is how they're conditioned. So at workplace, they're also very polite. They're like, good morning, sir. Good morning. Hello, hello. Uncle 1, Uncle 2, Uncle 3, Auntie 1, Auntie 2, Auntie 3, Makcik 1, Makcik 2, Makcik 3, Makcik 4, Makcik 5. Good morning to all of you. Very controlled, very polite. But if you ask the person, are you happy doing that? Don't want to talk about it lah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So this person will start to feel also over time, the cortisol level is also very high because this person will live to please people. This person will live to know I have to do everything. self-management. No, no, no. I am the mother. No, I'm the father. No, I'm the team leader. I have to get this done, get this done. But why are you doing it? Are you happy doing it? Are you comfortable doing it? You don't want to acknowledge that you just do and do and do. And this will lead to a burnout eventually. Okay, so I won't have time to describe these. I probably need another full day just to talk about the emotional intelligence domain. But I'm telling you about these 4 elements that is present in the emotional structure of ourselves. So we need to be mindful. And the first thing for today I want to highlight is that it all starts with self-awareness. So from the 5 scenarios that I have shared with you just now, I think what I really want is that for you to go back and you can take a screenshot of this page too and start to ask yourself, are you experiencing any of this situation? Are you one of the character that we role play today, the Natasha, the Julia, the Alex, the Adam, and so forth? Or are you the Iman? And learn some of these tips and start to exercise your frontal lobe to control your emotions better. Okay, so that's so much for my talk today, and we have a couple more minutes, at least 20 minutes or so for question and answer, and I think this would be a very good opportunity to apply to some real life situation, and whenever I can, I would love to provide you with some of these additional descriptions. Yeah. So back to Chloe and Jeremy to handle the Q&A session.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Okay, quick one. Whether anyone's got any questions, right? I think John has shared with us a lot, right? There was definitely a lot of learning down there, and our behind the scene. Yeah, everyone, please do that. Okay, please do what people are doing in the chat. Please first and foremost thank John for a fantastic 90 minutes of sharing. Okay. Because not many people can actually go into the kind of detail John gives you. He gives you the theory behind it, and then after that, he gives you practical examples of how it's done and things like that. But hey, I know a lot of you got questions, so please shoot some questions to John. Okay, ask questions to John. Let John know. Come on, ask John some questions. Anyone? Okay, we got the first question from Mandy. Okay, Mandy.
How to help someone who is low in self-awareness to get awareness? Okay, I think people who are low in self-awareness, it's very difficult for us to help them. And I know people who are asking this question are usually thinking about your spouse. I'm usually thinking about somebody else. It's like, yellow, that person are low self-awareness. Jonah, how to help that person to have high self-awareness? No, actually, most of the time, we can't really help them to have high self-awareness. We just have to engage them. If you care for this person, be it your staff or your friend or your family member, you just have to be with them, engage with them, and find the moment when they are really tired and exhausted, where they said, hi, why am I always like that one? Yeah, that is probably a better time for you to help them to see, maybe I can feedback to you, this is what happens. Yeah, without which I tell you to tell the person, come, today I would like you to have some self-awareness. Let me tell you, it's not going to happen. Okay? Now, the next thing is how, hang on, we have a question.
A lot of questions.
Scroll out first. I try to answer those that are similar first. Now, you talk about social, Ling Fong asked about how social awareness leads to relationship management. Okay, simple. Social awareness, if you remember the chart I drew just now, social awareness leads to relationship management, because if you are aware of how people feel, then you are more proactive to take certain actions to reach out. So if you are not aware of how people feel, that's where you are a bit naive and ignorant to some degree. People are angry also, you are not sure. Have you come across situation like this? A person who is late for a meeting or a dinner or family gathering or whatever, very late, and everybody is waiting for this person, and the person keeps saying, on the way, but still very far away. So by the time the person comes in, everyone is waiting very impatiently, and the person is like, it behaves like nothing happens. Hey, hello, hey, hi, yeah, they sit down and, Why? Hey, how come everybody muka musam one, masam one, why? Why? Yeah. And everybody is like, wow, you have no clue that you cause us to wait and so on. So the low social awareness actually cause the person to have poor relationship with others. People start to not trust you, and you don't even say a word of sorry because the person didn't even recognize that people are impatient. Yeah, so social awareness is important to help you at least be sensitive to others and take the necessary steps. Yeah.
Okay, why, John, why don't we
yeah.
do a few more questions, and then after
Sure.
that, I think you've got, yeah, 2 more. Huh? Right, you choose.
Okay, what else is there? How to help people self-awareness? Yeah, okay. How to manage the high influence personality. Oh, high influence personality are the people who likes to have a recognition, acceptance. Be very careful not to cause them to lose face. Okay, if they say something that you don't agree, to you it's very simple. Oh, I think that's not a good idea. Oh, to them it's very sensitive. To them is, can you not say like that? Yeah. You just have to paint it positively, like, all right, well, I appreciate that idea. I think you make a good point. Is there any other way we can also do it? Yeah, let the person suggest another alternative, and you may say, oh yes, your second suggestion is a lot better than your first suggestion. Indirectly, you are saying, I disagree with your first suggestion. But a high influence person needs that kind of diplomatic approach to do so. Okay.
Mm.
And sorry, my scrolling up and down here can be a little bit
Yeah.
okay.
We have another question from Lempong. How self-management can lead to relationship management?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Sometimes if you are very upset with somebody, this is where you lose your self-management and you just, I think, use words that are wrong. So self-management also is a control filter. Even though I really dislike Jeremy just now, he said something that offensive. Okay, hold on first. Yeah, I control. So indirectly, I save a situation from offending Jeremy. Then after tonight, I think back, actually not so bad lah. Okay. Oh, okay. Now I understand what he meant. I see. Oh, luckily just now I didn't taro him, Yeah, so self-management actually plays a big part in managing interpersonal differences as well.